Hi, all you cool cats and kittens. We are estimating, adding, subtracting whole numbers in word problems this week. Should be a review of what we learned in week 1. So we will review our expectations when solving word problems. I will analyze and solve addition and subtraction word problems. That's what we're going to be able to do by the end of today. So I know that we've seen this anchor chart before. We are always going to remember to think about planning first, then we can worry about solving, and always finishing with a check to make sure that we got a reasonable answer. So when we plan, we find out the important information, we think about the model that we can use, and what should be a reasonable answer based on the estimate that we find. And sometimes we need to visualize when we read, we can sketch, we can predict with the estimating. Then we can go into our solve. When we have our model, we can start to solve our problem. Then when we have our answer, we're going to check to make sure that all our work is reasonable and that our answer is reasonable. And reasonable means we're making sure it makes sense. And did I answer the question? So our problem for today is Jane makes $660 each week. She needs $380 to pay her utility bills, $180 for groceries, and plans to save the rest. How much can Jane save each week? It gets covered up. And when we plan, these are all the questions we're going to end up asking ourselves. What do we already know? What is the question asking us to find? What model should we use? And for this, we're only focusing on addition or subtraction. And then what would be a reasonable answer? We're going to estimate to find out. So first, what do we know? Who is the problem about? What do we know about her? And your little hint, what does spending money mean? Are we taking away or are we combining? So first, who is this problem about? We know that it has to be about Jane. What do we know about her? She makes $660 each week. She needs $380 to pay her utility bills, and that's like her water and her electricity at her house. And she needs $180 for groceries, for her food, to eat dinner and lunch and breakfast. And she plans to save the rest. So she makes 660 and she spends money and she wants to save some money also. And that's what we know about her so far. What is the question asking us to find? We look, we find a question mark. How much can Jane save each week? So we're not looking for how much she spends, we're looking for how much she can actually save every single week. That's where we write our question. Next, we have to find the model that we're going to use to solve for addition or subtraction. So which one should we use? We can either use a total part, which means we would be taking away parts from a total, or are we putting parts together to get a total? So that would be subtraction, is where we're taking something away from a total, and addition would be putting parts together to get the total. So would we think in subtraction or addition? Since we know that spending, if she's going to spend something, that means she has to take it away from what she has started with. So she's going to take away what she spends on her bills, and she's going to take away what she spends on her groceries and take away what she wants to put into her savings, that tells us that we're going to use subtraction. We're using subtraction because she's taking away the amount she spends from her total she earns each week. To make sure that we put the total we know in the correct spot, let's check. We have 660. That is how much she makes. That was her total. So we're going to put that right here in the total spot. And we're putting the parts in what we are taking away. So we're going to put the 380 that she takes away. She takes away 180 also. And she's going to put away money into savings too. So that's going to be part of what we're taking away. Double check that we put everything in the correct spots. We had 660 as our total, 380, 180, and how much she saves is going to be over here also. Perfect. Now we need to figure out if it's going to be what our reasonable answer would be by estimating. So we're going to estimate to the highest place value that the numbers have in common, which is the hundreds place. See, they all have a zero, they all have a ones place, they all have a tens place, and they all have a hundreds place. So when we add and subtract, remember we're going to estimate to the highest place value that they have in common. So Jane earns $660 each week. If I want to round to the hundreds place, I need to underline my hundreds place. I circle the number next to it. And because I know that 5 or more rounds up, I am going to round the 600 to a 700 and change all the numbers to the right to zeros. So that tells me that she earns about $700 each week. She spends about how much on her utility bills? So her bills, she has 380. Remember, we're underlining the hundreds. We look next door. 8 rounds up. And so my 3 turns into a 4. And I know that she spends about 400 on her bills. And how much does she spend on her groceries? Let's see. She has $180. We're going to underline the hundreds, circle the tens, 8 rounds up. That means we have 200 that she spends on her groceries. Oops. I'll move that away. She spends about $200 on her groceries. So now we needed to make a number sentence. Our number sentence we get from taking our total, which is 700, and we know we need to take away the estimate was 400, and we end up with 300. And then we need to rewrite this 300, and we're going to take away the number that we have left, which is 200. And we end up with $100. So remember one more time, we got the 700 that we estimated, we got the 400 that we estimated, we move the 300 over here, and then we took away our 200 that we estimated for her groceries, So our answer should be somewhere close to $100. It should be around $100. Get rid of it. Okay, so we got all of our information, we put it in our model. Now we're going to do the same thing, except we're going to solve using the numbers that she used instead of our estimated numbers. So we use our 660, that was our total, and we took away 380. 0 minus 0 was 0. 6, we can't take away 8 from 6, so we have to borrow. That 6 becomes a 5 because it gave 1 over to the 6 and became 16. 16 minus 8 is 8. 5 minus 3 is 2. And then just like we did before, we're going to take that 280 and then we're going to subtract 180 from it. So we got the 180 right here. We took this 280, moved it over, and this lovely little 380, we put it over here. It's a lot over there. So now we can subtract the 280. 0 minus 0, 0. 8 minus 8 was 0, and 2 minus 1 is 1. So our answer was 100. Is our answer reasonable? We know that the answer should be smaller than our total because spending money means she is subtracting. When we subtract, our numbers get smaller. Our numbers did get smaller, went from 600 something to almost 100, to 100. When we estimated, we saw that our answer should be about $100. It was very close. It was actually that. Because our answer was less than our total and was close to our estimate, yes, our answer is reasonable. Now we just need to check and we will be done. The opposite of subtraction is addition. Always remember, the opposite of subtraction is addition. We need to add in order to check our work. What numbers should we add? So if we took away all of these, that means we need to put these together to see if they get $660, if they equal $660. So let's do that. I have 0, I'm going to add the 100, the 180, and the 380. So I add all my zeros together, I get 0. I add my 8 and my 8 and my 0, I get 16. 1 plus 3 plus 1 plus 1, I get 6. Because my answer equals my total, that means that we got our problem correct and our problem should be finished. And we are